Seeing my sister for the first time in years was a nostalgic and touching moment, to say the least. Too many years pass between us, and I always know when it's time to visit again, as soon as her face begins to diminish from memory. I take us back to familiar surroundings, places where we felt safe in the past, places where we were able to express ourselves and tackle our inner demons in peace, away from the detractors. To say that my sister and I shared a very strong bond would be an understatement. We enjoyed each other's company so much that we would almost become insular. If it weren't for the fact that we're both gay, others may have assumed that the rapport between us was a little more than unusual, and conventional minds may even have wandered the realms of rational thinking. You see, the thing is, no one understood us like we did. Our parents died when we were very young, and apart from our grandmother, who only recognised us for short periods of time, we only had each other to face life's obstacles and learning curves. It would be true to say that we learned a great deal from one another. She taught me how to be a more sensitive and enduring person. I taught her how to be a bit more forward and confident. We fed each other with new ideas, new aspirations, new hopes and new dreams, and together we made a team to be reckoned with. An amalgamated confidence which sometimes dangerously swayed over to delusional and even narcissistic, although the narcissism was never harmful to anyone else. In fact, it would be fair to say that there wasn't really anyone else who figured that prominently in our lives. Not for the earlier part of our years, anyway. It was just the two of us, fighting our corner. Later on in our lives, during our mid-20s, somebody did enter into our world and very nearly tore our world apart. Very nearly destroyed the relationship that was, and still is from time to time, the most implicit, solid and sincere one we're ever likely to experience in this lifetime. The man responsible for our temporary shake-up was a tall, dark, Hispanic man with so much wit he didn't even need his sultry looks to whisk us both off of our feet. This was at the time when my sister did prefer the men over the women. This man inadvertently, unintentionally, drove a very sharp, deep wedge between the two of us. Bisexual to the core, he claimed, although my sister and I were constantly at loggerheads with our caustic and bombastic opinions as to whether he preferred the male physique to the female one. Both of us clearly deluding ourselves during each new altercation. That was a very strange time in our relationship. We reluctantly agreed to basically share Carlos like he was a piece of meat, and we were the gluttonous predators, poised and ready for our next feed. He didn't seem to mind, actually. He clearly felt special and experienced the best of both. We were always careful and used precaution, to suffice to say. And no, Carlos never suggested a three-way, and we would never have complied. My sister and I look back on this, and in hindsight again view it as a learning curve and laugh about it, but realise what idiots we were to have been lured by the charisma of him. Charisma and eccentricity definitely plays a pivotal and integral role in both our lives today and in the past. My sister is more selective and reserved, but once she trusts a person, she gives only 100%. And she'll be the best person to have around in your life and pretty much prepared to dive in at the deep end with any new challenge. Whereas well, let's say I've never really been shy in coming forward. Always ready to tackle any situation and fight the detractors and bigots. Not with force, I hasten to add, purely with verbal annihilation. But all of these attributes worked effectively as a pair.
I am you and you are me.
We helped each other with everything, with education, domesticity, socialising, networking, cognitive behavioural techniques, clothes shopping, cooking, and even with makeup and deciding what to wear on nights out clubbing. My sister was always a little more indecisive than me when it came to her physical appearance. In fact, it would often border on the realms of identity crisis in most cases. She really didn't know what she wanted to appear as most of the time, but that never really hindered the process, and she would always end up making the right choice very close to the end of exiting the house, looking and feeling great. I was sometimes jealous of this transformation. Well, let's be honest, always a little envious. I wanted to feel that security and exude the confidence she carried off so well whenever she wandered off into the night to dance away in the London clubs all throughout the weekend to the early hours. We frequented gay clubs mainly, but more often than not, she would be the one who ended up with some gorgeous bloke by the end of the night with her makeup still intact, just her hair a little dishevelled. I didn't hate her for it. I just knew there was a lot of my type of clubs and only a handful of her type, so the best men zoned in. Gay clubs were always the best bet for a minority of straight guys to be on the prowl for the girls. I was always pleased for her. It was effortless for my sister. When we were young, we always came into these forests to chew the cud, take pretentious pictures of ourselves posing in very odd and abstract positions, like we imagined we'd become the next top young models. I told you we were delusional. I'm sure we could have partaken in some kind of modelling, but I don't think it would have involved strutting down some catwalk in Paris. But these woodlands were a safe haven for us, our own private utopia. No one around us for fucking miles. The only thing we had to worry about was whether Gran was burning the roast or had forgotten that she left the iron on. Coming back to these woods every other year now almost feels wrong, austere, macabre and sad really. It's cold, but nostalgic at the same time. It was a safe haven for the most part, but we also spent a lot of our time feeling down, depressed, and a few times even suicidal. We endured that together. Our trials and tribulations were always in unison. That's why we could always counsel each other and empathise, sympathise, strategise, and come to a resolution together. It was so imperative that we kept that strong connection we shared, through thick and thin, and never allow anyone in our lives to try and impede or come between us, to tell us that it was wrong or make us feel like freaks. Although that was always a word we embraced with much vigour. We weren't in love with each other. We simply just loved each other like no other we've ever known. I don't see my sister very much these days. She only comes out on special occasions, today being one of them. It's our birthday today. My sister has become very recluse over the years, even verging on agoraphobic. She doesn't feel right in her makeup anymore. She doesn't have a girlfriend right now, but still feels that she's bisexual. She connects with women on an emotional and intellectual level, usually more than she would with a man, but she claims that she is very occasionally sexually drawn in by a man when she feels numb, when the animalistic part of her brain ignites, and then she can easily disassociate the sexual side of what she wants from the emotional side. Most men do it all the time. There's no reason why she shouldn't. She's happy with this arrangement, so am I. So who gives a fuck? We would chant our own made-up mantra over and over again. I am you, and you are me. I am you, and you are me. We truly believe that if we said it enough times, incessantly, that the best qualities in both of us would magically, spiritually take over and enter into us, and we would emerge as a unified person who could share each other's bodies and minds and fool the world without anyone ever knowing that we weren't one of the same. The strangest but most exuberant entity that could face the dissension and conquer the world. We chant day after day after day. I am you, and you are me. I am you, and you are me. Eventually, it did happen. We did become one, and we carried this on for many years. Many years until I met a man who didn't really find me attractive when I was my sister. I never sought help for it either. I had no sickness, I wasn't mentally impaired. She pulled me through my former years. And as I said before, she sometimes pulls me through in these latter years, on special occasions, only secretly now. And that's not because I'm ashamed of what I am. It's simply because I've moved on. And I became more happy and comfortable with the man in me, and the man in my life. I am you, and you are me.
You are me. You are me.
I am you, and you are me, and you are me. I am you, and you are me. I am you, and me. I am you, and you are me, and you are me. And my sister is me.